हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज हम लोग शुरू करने वाले हैं द एलपीजी। ये वो वाला एलपीजी नहीं है, सिलेंडर वाला, ठीक है। एलपीजी गैस, नो, दिस इज स्टैंड फॉर लिबरलाइजेशन, प्राइवेटाइजेशन एंड ग्लोबलाइजेशन, ठीक है, एंड कंबाइनिंग सेट एलपीजी। तो द प्रोसेस ऑफ रिफॉर्म इन इंडिया विल बी completed बाय 3 अदर प्रोसेसेस। अब ये एक प्रोसेस है, ये तीनों इकोनॉमिक रिफॉर्म्स के, ठीक है। तो क्या है ये? नेमली liberalization, privatization and globalization. You hear about many times for the word privatization. So, and we will discuss here this word in detail. Yeah. Known as popularly short form LPG. These three processes specify the characteristics of reform process India initiated, and precisely seen liberalization shows the direction of reform. Liberalization shows the direction of the reform, privatization shows the path of reform, and the globalization shows the ultimate goal of the reform. However, it would be useful to see the real meanings of these terms and the exact sense in which they are being used worldwide and particularly in India. Liberalization. The liberalization has its origin in the political ideology liberalism, which took its form in the early 19th century. It developed basically in the previous 3 centuries. The term is sometimes portrayed as meta-ideology capable of embracing a broad range of rival values and beliefs. The ideology was the product of breakdown of feudalism and the growth of market and capitalist society. In its place, which became popular in economics via the writings of Adam Smith, its founding father in the US, and was identified as a principle of laissez-faire. The term liberalization has the same connotations in the economics as its root word liberalism. Pro-market or pro-capitalistic inclination in the economic policies of an economy is the process of liberalization. We see it taking place in Euro-America in the 1970s and particularly in 1980s. The most suitable example of process could be China of the mid-1980s when it announced its open door policy. Though China lacks even today some traits of liberalism, as for example individualism, liberty, and democratic system, it was still called a liberalizing economy. We may take an example from the history of the world economy, putting the US of the early 20th century and the communist China on two poles of the scale, thus representing the best historical example of liberalism and liberal economies. With the US on the south and China on the north, any policy movement toward the south is liberalism. The policy movement from south to north will be known as a illiberalism. It means that the process of decreasing traits of a state economy and increasing traits of market economy is liberalization. Decreasing traits of state economy and increasing traits of market economy is liberalism. Similarly, opposite will be the process of liberalism. Technically speaking, both the process will be known as the process of economic reform, since reform as a term does not say anything about the direction. All the economic reforms in the world have seen from the north to south. Same goes correct in the case of liberalism too. It means in the Indian case the term liberalism is used to show the direction of the economic reforms, with decreasing influence of the state or the planned or the command economy and increasing influence of free market or the capitalistic economy. It is a move toward capitalism. India is attempting to strike its own balance of state market mix. It means even if the economic reform are directed towards a market economy, it can never be branded a blind run to capitalism, since the economy was more like the state economy. In the former years, it has to go for a greater degree of mix of market, but in the long run, liberalism curtails the power of parliament. Let's talk about the privatization. Privatization. The decades of the 1980s and 1990s witnessed the rolling back of the state by the governments, especially in the US and UK, under the inspiration of new right priorities and beliefs. The policies through which the rollback of the state was carried out included deregulations, privatization, and introduced of market reform in public services. Privatization at that time was used as a process under which the state assets were transferred to the private sector. The root of the term privatization goes to this period, which received much more currency around the world once the East European nations and later the developing democratic nations opted for it. But during the period, several connotations and meanings of the term privatization has developed. We may see them as follows. Privatization in its purest sense and lexically means denationalization, that is transfer of the state ownership of asset to the private sector to the tune of 100%. Such bold moves occurred only once anywhere in the world without any political fallout. In the early 1980s, UK under the Thatcher regime, this route of privatization has been avoided by the almost all democratic system. In the mid 1990s, some West European nations, Italy, Spain, and France, beside the US, opted for such move. India never ventured into any such privatization more till 2022 when the government privatized Air India. And the sense in which privatization has been used is the process of disinvestment all over the world. This process includes selling of shares of the state-owned enterprises to the private sector, and disinvestment is denationalization of less than 100% ownership transfer from the state to the private sector. If an asset has been sold out by the government to the tune of only 49%, the ownership remains with the state, though it is considered privatization. If the state of shares of state-owned asset has to be tune of 51%, the ownership really transferred to the private sector, where even then it is turned to privatization. The third and the last sense in which the term privatization has been used around the world is very wide. Basically, all the economic policies which directly or indirectly seems to promote the expansion of private sector or the market economy have been termed by expert and the government as the process of privatization. We may cite a few examples from the India: delicensing and de-reservation of the industries, even cuts in the subsidies, permission to foreign investment, and so forth. Hence, we may connect liberalization to privatization in India. Liberalization shows the direction of the economic reform in India, that is inclination toward the dominance of the market. But how will it be achieved? Basically, privatization will be the path to reform. It means everything which include promotion of the market will be the path of reform process in India. And this is done for the today. We will talk about the next topic, globalization, tomorrow. And thank you so much. Keep watching my video for more information regarding Indian economy. Okay? Thank you so much.